my name is Chastity Brown, and I work at Florida A&M University. Currently, I serve on the Volunteer Development Committee, which is a diverse group of caring professionals with a common goal. Being a volunteer has increased my social interactions, allowed me to develop new relationships, and provided opportunities to learn new information and gain industry knowledge that I'm able to share with my colleagues. So, if you're thinking about serving, think no longer. Come join and have fun with us.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is JP Williams, and today we will be talking about how to go from being a 0 to being a DBA in 1 year. So a little bit about me before we get started. I come from a sports background. I have a bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science and a master's degree in sport management. Maybe asking yourself, how exactly does someone get into a DBA role from a sports background? Well, I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. My career background is that very unique background. I started off here at Texas Tech as an event management person, and I helped manage some of the events on campus in our classrooms, those that we call Raider rooms, as well as do a few little things here and there with our key management system. And during that time, I was able to learn some SQL, and that kind of brought me up on the career path that I am now. After that job, I went off to sell apartments to college students, which is not as glorious as it sounds, and then also sell some medical equipment after that, a very, very sales-heavy role. And after getting laid off from that job, I was lucky enough to venture back here to Texas Tech, to the same department that I worked for previously, and take on a new role as a programmer analyst. Within that time, my first year or two here, we were told that we were going to be inheriting a department, which was our university ID office. And I was asked if I wanted to take over the role as their ITIS support. I didn't know anything about this, so I was like, I will do my best, and we will make it work and see what we can do to make sure that this office runs well and succeeds at what they do. So our utilization here for our cards, we use our cards everywhere. We use them to get in. They are used for dining. We have a plethora of different access control types, such as biometrics, and we also use the photos that we get taken from our cards and push them to different systems across campus. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. DBA, doing business as. A lot of people hear that companies do business as another company. It could be a name that is used so that it's more appealing to the public instead of the legal name that a company has taken on. But that's not exactly what we're talking about today. DBA, in our eyes, is a database administrator. So in my opinion, in my research, we've got 4 different types of DBAs that we have here. We've got a systems administrator who maintains the physical systems. We've got a database analyst who evaluates the data and presents it in a readable format. An application DBA who maintains the front end application. They're the gatekeeper for that application, make sure everything runs smoothly and continues to function properly. And we also have a data warehouse administrator who maintains that backend database. Well, my role, I do a little bit of all 4 of these. So as the systems administrator, I had to learn how our servers run, how we back them up, what types of jobs we run on these servers, and also how to make sure that these servers are always on and patched and doing what they're supposed to. From the database analyst side, we have a couple of people in our department that do database analytics. But what we do is we present this data in reports and dashboards to make sure that our end user can understand the data that's being put into our database. Applications, we build applications, custom applications. Sometimes it could be a counter to see how many people have swiped into the basketball game or the football game, or something to check a flag to see if so-and-so has paid a fee, or um, also, assigning access control. Here at Texas Tech, we have our key management system that we have integrated thoroughly across campus, and everybody requests keys and access through that system. So we'll talk about integration here next, but we utilize these custom applications to make our end users' life a little bit easier. And we also have a database and our data warehouse administrator who takes care of the data warehouse, maintains all of the data that's in there, ensures that the tables are taken care of, that all of the jobs are being run properly, as well as any patches that may need to be done to that Oracle database. So I told you that we would talk a little bit about how we integrate and how we support some applications. So the first thing that we integrate with is going to be printing here on campus. We integrate with WIPA through the CS Gold XML procedures. Man, talk about a lot of different things to learn on that one. That one was a big learning curve for me. Had to learn how to program a location for a WIPA and how to add in the specific messages, as well as making sure that the WIPA side of everything is good. So that one is interesting. We also use GoPrint, which we house right now, and that is used more for some of our large format printers across campus to make sure that our art and architecture students are able to print those big formats that they like. Biometrics, we utilize biometrics here on campus, mostly throughout our athletic facilities, because we all know athletes don't like to carry cards. They like to have something they can get in and get moving without having to carry anything excess around. So personally here at Tech, we use Morpho Manager, and we have a plethora of different things such as the Morpho Wave. We use the Signal Lights, we use the J readers. That is a challenge in itself, learning how to program and wire each one of these different devices to make sure that it functions properly with our systems. A big thing that we also do here is photos. CS Gold captures these photos, and obviously they get printed onto the IDs, but the other departments across campus want these photos so that they, whenever they're meeting with a student, they can integrate it into their systems. We push it to Fusion for our recreational center. We push it to Banner, as well as one of our other registrar dashboard pieces. So it's really interesting how many people really rely on the data that we have. And the way we do that is through a custom executable that we built. We pull some of the data in, check to see if anything's been changed, and then push it out to shared file paths or shared folders to where service accounts can come and pick it up. We also integrate with alternate access control systems. Here on campus, we also use Secure, and as you know, we have CBORD as well. That CBORD is what we use to print off all of our IDs. Secure is used for some of the exterior doors on campus, as well as some other applications. So we push a lot of information over to Secure so they have the most up-to-date data for people whenever they lose their card or they change cards or something like that. We also support quite a few remote campuses. We have health science centers across the state of Texas, as well as one in Costa Rica that we print items to, or that we send printed cards to. And also, we are now just getting started with one of our remote campuses. We're pushing over patron information, such as their name, their card information, and their proximity information, so that it can integrate with other applications that they can use, such as their own access control to the single sign-on that they can tap their badge and sign into computers. So I thought that was pretty neat. As far as access control goes, Here at Texas Tech, we utilize HID, Allegiant, Asa Abloy, the Aperio locks, Morpho readers, and whenever I started out, I didn't know how to do any of this. I was given a training. Mr. Mike Scalise with Seaport came in and trained us for a week and was like, all right, let us know if you have any questions. And man, that they are regretting saying that. I have utilized that Seaboard help desk more times than I can count and spent more hours on the phone trying to solve things that I just didn't know how to do. That was part of my learning curve. I went from a system where I had no idea how it functioned or anything like that to now I am the main person in charge for the back ends, the database administration of these systems. So it has been extremely helpful to have people that we can rely on here on campus, such as the folks in our ID office, Joanne Wright. I'm sure many of you know her, but being able to lean on her and Seaboard support, as well as anybody else that has been willing to help, it has been so helpful and has made it to where I was able to go from not knowing anything to being a database administrator now. It really helped me with that learning curve. Some of the standardization that we have done here is all of our locks. Everybody knows you have a description that you put in that you want to call the lock in. Here we have taken that lock name and turned it into something that we can identify on the database side. We've got it listed as the building number, the room number, and even a door ID, so that we can go back through and determine what lock is associated with what door and integrate that in with our homegrown key management system to work on pushing access across to that. So whenever somebody requests access to a room, we know exactly which readers they need access to. We don't have to go hunt and find to see, are we giving them access to everything that they need? So that standardization has come in really, really handy. And as far as troubleshooting goes, I never thought that I would dig into logs so much as I have in my life. Utilizing Seaboard's help desk, they have shown me that you can find so much information in logs to determine what is going on with your system. So on our servers, we're able to dig into these logs, identify exactly the issue that we're having, as well as try to replicate the issue to resolve any problems that may arise. I should also mention that we have very much relied on the listserv. I know we have a NACU listserv, and Seaboard also has a listserv, and it is so nice to be able to have those that we can reach out to each other, our peers, to discuss problems we're having and see if y'all are having the same issues. Whether it be from printing barcodes or barcodes not printing on the back of IDs, the most recent thing that we've encountered, thanks to a Microsoft update, or not having a reader work across campus. It's nice to have this community of people that we are able to lean on. And I've got to mention, at least for the Seaboard system, our squadron debug, because man, that has saved me many a times to find out what is going on with the system. So that is, for those of you that don't know, a command line that we can run to determine if our controllers are connected, what we're showing is connected, what's going on, without actually having to go out into the field and look into these systems. The last thing I'm going to talk about is our reporting metrics. So beforehand, we have all of the built-in reports, and we have some queries that we've utilized to pull the data that other departments have requested. For instance, our athletic department requests who went into the game, for football, basketball, baseball, all of our sports, you name it. They want to know the classification of these individuals. They really want to dig into some of these metrics to see who's attending the football game as a student. And We've also used dashboards to determine some of the metrics of how many IDs have we printed, how are we doing from a revenue standpoint, and how are we doing whenever it comes to historical data to compare, because we all know that COVID was an interesting time for us. So it was very neat to see how once our students came back in the fall, how our ID printing spiked. And over the past years, it was a steady increase. And then there was just a drop. But without these dashboards, we would not be able to see that specifically. So here at Tech, we use, or in operations division, we use Power BI, and occasionally we use SSRS. We're working to phase out SSRS, but Power BI has been our go-to. One of the challenges that I really faced with that was connecting back for live data. And I've searched Stack Overflow, I've searched everything that we could, and we ended up doing a linked server and creating views to pull that live data in so that we can tell exactly when somebody's last card was printed or how many cards we've printed today at this moment. So that was one of our big solutions, was figuring out that we were able to utilize that linked server to get that live data. One of the other challenges was learning PL SQL. That is the Oracle SQL. Personally, I was pretty good at TSQL, Microsoft SQL, and learning PSQL was a huge learning curve for me, just because there's many little differences here and there. So learning that, to be able to pull in that data and make it work for what we needed it to, was a big challenge. But thankfully, utilizing Stack Overflow and Google and my colleagues that knew PLSQL, I was able to determine that and continue on to be successful within going from a zero to a database administrator. So I look forward to any questions you may have. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this session. And please tell me, how have you gone from inheriting a system to making it your own and making it work for you? So thank you, and I look forward to your questions.